Hi everyone, welcome back to a diary of a first-time property developer. My name's Stephen Knowles, and for the past 6 months I've been tracking our progress on our office to residential project in Edenbridge. Before I give you a little update on the project, if you have watched before and you find these videos interesting, please consider subscribing. I normally do this bit at the end, but I don't know how many of you make it there, so I thought I'd throw it in a bit earlier this time.
Anyway, you can't learn this in a textbook. You've got to do it, you've got to feel it, understand what the steps are.
It feels like the end is in sight now. A little recap of what's been going on. We were all ready to have our water connected, and then we were told by SCS Water that they couldn't connect because our road is owned by the rail company, Network Rail, which means that we would have to have a legal agreement called a BAPA in place, which can take 6 months plus. So what we've had to do is we have dug a new trench and we've laid new pipe all the way to the back of the building. Because our land is higher than the land behind, the trench then dives down a couple of meters at the back, and SCS are going to have to mole into our property, and we'll have our manifold and connection within the grounds of our property. That trench and all the pipe work has now passed building regs, and we've actually got a date for the connection, which is in about 2 weeks' time. So I went to site yesterday and had a look round at all the progress. In the past couple of weeks, it has felt as if things have slowed down on site. I think this is probably because earlier on in the build you are in either a plastering stage or an electric stage, a plumbing stage for example, but now it's got to the point where there's a little bit of plastering to be done, a little bit of electrics to be done, and it just felt that we weren't making that much progress week on week. I think it was also down to the fact that the guys spray painted, so everything got covered, the floors, the kitchens, and because everything was covered, it was just hard to see the work that was behind there. At some points, it actually felt like we'd gone backwards a little bit, but having been to site yesterday, it's had a bit of a tidy up. Some of the masking has gone, so you can see now that the work hadn't disappeared, it was still there, and it feels like we're very close to finishing now. In my last video I showed you some of the issues we were having with the doors. So the door sets that we ordered, I think we ordered say 3 sizes, which would have been front door, bedrooms and bathrooms. Unfortunately, within those groups, some of the openings weren't the same. So for whatever reason, they were either a little bit thicker, taller. So some modifications were needed. And in the last video, I was just basically saying that obviously we know there's a way forwards, but at the time we didn't know what the way forward was. As I will show you on site, they're nearly all in now. So we've got past that bit, which is good. Another new thing you're going to see this week is bathroom and kitchen tiling. So in the bathrooms we have some new splashbacks, tiled splashbacks, and also we have done the boxing in and the skirting in tiles as well. Anyone that's been watching a while might have seen that we changed the kitchen in Unit 1 because it didn't give us enough living area. I hope the main contractor's not watching because we haven't actually spoke to him about this yet, but we're going to have to do it in Unit 4 as well. So Unit 4 currently has an L-shaped kitchen, and we just feel that if we put a U-shaped peninsula kitchen in, it will separate the room a lot more. We were just a bit worried that you might feel that you're sitting in the kitchen in Unit 4, and seeing as it is the duplex where you've got upstairs and downstairs, and you've got a bit of extra space, we're kind of banking on that to keep the GDV high, the GDV being the gross development value. So we need it to make good money, and we think that if we spend £1,000 just reconfiguring the downstairs, then it might help with that valuation. And no, it's not great to be doing it a couple of weeks before we think we're finished, but then this is a diary of a first-time property developer, and I would prefer to make my mistakes now and learn. The last thing I want to be doing is making these mistakes a year or two down the line when our projects are a lot more expensive, possibly. So it isn't great, but this is a learning experience, and as I've said the whole way through, I'm not going to shy away from these mistakes. I'm going to show you guys everything. Okay, I think that's it for now, so I will show you everything else when I get to the building. Okay, so I'm in Unit 4, the duplex, and unfortunately, even though the kitchen is fully installed, we have decided that we think it'd be better if it was a U-shaped kitchen, and the reason we think this is because it would separate the living and the kitchen area a lot more. So the room's been set up for the TV to be fitted on this wall, and then your kitchen is in this corner, and we just feel that this setup will probably make you feel that where you want to have your sofa is probably in line with these units here. What we're proposing is we can move the sink so that the bowl is just above the drawers there. We would spin it round and the drainer would go into the corner, and then we would return it from about here. So if you were then to have your sofa along the back of the units, it would give you a lot more living space. Also, the door is in this corner, so you would have the door, your kitchen area, and then you would walk across, and I just think the angles would give you that bit more feeling of space. And just to give you an idea, I've come into Unit 1 where we do have a U-shaped kitchen. In Unit 4, this sort of breakfast bar peninsula wouldn't be so long, and I think also we won't have the overhang, but I think the idea would be the worktop could extend into the room, and then just to butt the sofa up to the back, and like I say, it's a completely different setup here, but then you've got the angle to the other wall, to the TV. This kitchen was also changed, and you can see that in some of the previous videos. If you look into the corner by the boxes, you can still see the old hole for the extractor, because these hobs have to downward extract. That will be being filled, by the way, but what I'm saying is this was a lot further over previously. It just didn't give us any room for living. And I think sometimes you have to just bite the bullet for the amount of money it is to move something, because otherwise I think well, a couple of things. I think you'll probably get downvalued on your GDV, and also if you're looking for tenants, I think it would either hit the rent or maybe you just wouldn't have the retention that you'd want. So obviously we are hoping to rent these, and what we want is we want people to move in and to stay as long as possible. Okay, upstairs in the duplex, in the master bedroom, we have our IKEA packs now fitted. We just felt that, again, to do with GDV, we just wanted to put something in here to try and lift the valuation a little bit. If we can spend 1,000 here or there and either get the GDV up or just make it a bit more rentable, that is the main plan. So we've gone for a fairly simple setup. Obviously you can hang your clothes above and have your drawers underneath, but it also has the added benefit that we can hide the water cylinder, and then that can act as a bit of a airing cupboard for any potential buyers or renters. We have actually deliberately left that space at the side. Couple of reasons. So one, there isn't anything that really fits in there packs wise, but also there's a little outcrop in the wall there. We just felt in the flat that just to box something in sort of for aesthetics is a bit pointless when you know, if it can be used for storing anything, it's probably better than just to be boxed in for the look of it. But yeah, pretty pleased with that. I do like the way that it hides the cylinder now. We were going to just do freestanding and then box this in the same way that we have each unit has a sort of internal cupboard that we've built. But I think going for the packs was the better option. And while I'm up here, I need to talk about doors, so let's start here. We had an issue with some of the doors and the openings not being correct. Most of the doors are now in. I think all of the doors except the utility room is now in, and a lot of them have architrave fitted. This has architrave fitted both sides. I don't know if this was an issue door. Yeah, so it would have been. Right. So what we've got is the door here would not have been wide enough. There's so many different words. Lining or frame, I think it's the lining. The lining wouldn't have been thick enough. So now we've got a piece of MDF just to pack it out. And as I spoke about, also on this door, so as I spoke about last week, the issue is that the carpenters have agreed a price with the main contractor. That price was based on door sets being quicker to fit. Obviously, if you're going around retrofitting thin slivers of MDF, then you are probably not doing as many as you expect to do. But anyone that is interested in property developing and stuff, obviously one of the reasons that we decided to have a main contractor is we didn't want to have to be dealing with all of the trades and agreeing prices and bits and pieces like that. We wanted to have one price from the main contractor, so this is something for them to agree with their subcontractors. So in the duplex, it looks like we are 0 for 3 with the doors. This door, not only is the door frame wrong, so we've got our MDF strip. This is actually a different door. This door came from Howden's. So I would say that the entrance itself on this one was not built correctly. Again, this is a diary of a first-time property developer. If you follow me in the future and we're still doing this, then we will probably take a bit more flack for it. But it wasn't really something that I thought we'd have to check, because the guys were building the door frames. Like, this is something we built. We built this wall, built that wall. We didn't expect to have to be checking door sizes as we were going around. But now we know, it's going to be 10 minutes with a tape on a visit. So it will be something that we do from now on. This was one of the doors that Simon, the carpenter, pointed out to me. And as you can see, compared with the one that you've just seen, how big, I mean, it's literally two of the strips that you've just seen in the last one. And he was saying he didn't really know how he was going to get around it, but there you go, that's how he's done it. So now, once it's all painted, you'll never know the difference. Okay, so that is doors, tiling, the packed upstairs. I think all that's left on my list to show you guys is the water connection outside. So this was our original trench. I mean, it looks bad now. I mean, we've had some rain and stuff and it just makes things look terrible. This was our original trench. Those are the tails of the water pipe that would have been connected had SES been able to do it into the road. Also, while I was here with the digger, the black bit at the end there is some conduit I've ran, and that will be there to future-proof if we need a different internet connection. So I can show you the trench that was open. I'll insert that, and then this is after backfilling. I brought the lorry down and we backfilled with that material into the trench with the lorry. We were hoping to then drive in and work over the cab to backfill around here, but decided against it. It wasn't really worth it. So this was all done by hand. It started to sink already. This bit here is going to need a repair. That was caught by the digger. Funny that we dug in exactly the same place as it already had a collar. I mean, yeah, it's just a bit of a strange one. So then it goes all the way down here. As you can see, this is the depth. And now we've got a pond. There's got to be that. I'll insert the before and after the pond, but that is crazy how much water is in there. The pipe that you can see, the grey pipe, there used to be a drain there that runs into a soakaway, which is under this spoil. Unfortunately, the grate for the drain was bang in the middle of where we needed to dig, so that will need to be reinstated. The good news is that we don't have to bother our neighbours, so we actually had an agreement with the neighbours which would allow us to trench through their land if we needed to, but that is not going to be needed now, as far as I know. I mean, we've got a date for the connection. As long as nothing goes wrong between now and a couple of weeks, then we will have water. We've also now gone for some outside lights. I will be honest with you, they are not my favourite thing we've done. They look a little bit piddly, but I think I think I'm finding that some of these things, the things that just don't matter, I think it's a case of don't sweat the small stuff. So things that don't really matter, don't worry about them too much. One thing I'm a little bit worried about for the water connection, which I wasn't until about 5 minutes ago, is I hope there's numbers up in the corner and that tells you which flat they're for, and I just hope they match up to the numbers that I wrote on the pipes that go in. I will have to speak to the electrician. I'll have to speak to the plumber when I see him. Fingers crossed they do, because they were numbered both ends of the pipe. So the ends that are near our boundary now were numbered 1 to 7, and the other end was numbered 1 to 7, and these are 1 to 7, but hopefully they're all the same ones and the same 7s. And I think this is just the last bit to show you guys. So we've got one more door to go onto this cupboard, and then we need to finish off the steps into the flats and the floor. And I think what we're going to do is, when we do the epoxy floor, so we're going to get something similar to that, and we're going to basically paint this floor, throw some flake into it, and then clear epoxy on top. And I think because it is like a paint, I think we will run it up the steps and up the wall a little bit, so that we just have a completely finished area. Right guys, thanks very much for watching, and if you have made it this far, please consider subscribing, and I will see you again next week.